Hi, welcome to House of Poetica. My name is Montoya Miller. I'm a writer, a creative, a coach, a hypnotherapist, and I'm very excited about today's topic because we are officially in the season of the witch. What does that mean? Well, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, it is now officially fall. It is October at the time of me filming this, which is my fucking favorite month ever. And this is the season of the witch. This is the time of year when the veil between our physical, tangible, material world and the spirit realm is thinnest. If you didn't see my last video, I talk all about working with seasons and cycles and the importance of working with the natural rhythms of the earth and kind of do an overview of what that means, what that looks like. So I won't talk too much about that. Today we are focusing on working with the energies of the season of the witch. And what does that even mean? So, fall is this time where, again, the veil thins. We are very much asked to slow down, to get quiet, to go within. But it is a very magical, intuitive time of year because that veil is so thin, because we are slowing down and getting quiet and sitting with ourselves more often than maybe we're called to do in the summer when things are very active and busy and we're very much showing up in the external world. The season of the witch is about coming back to yourself and letting yourself, letting your intuition, letting your own inner magic show you where you're being guided next. So, this is not a time of forcing, but it is a time of big magic happening. And it is a time of really big shifts taking place, especially this year, because we are in eclipse season. So we have an eclipse in Libra coming up on October 14th, and then we have another one in Taurus on October 28th. And if you don't know, eclipse season is a very oftentimes intense cycle. There are often a lot of very big, sudden changes, transformations that happen. If there's anything in your life that is no longer supporting you and who you're meant to become, it will very often be stripped away. Even if you try to cling to it, that shit's gone, whether you want it to be or not. Um, but eclipse season is so exciting because it is a time when we are just like propelled into our purpose, into what we came here to do, into the next version of who we need to become. So, because there are so many often swift, dramatic, intense changes, it can feel uncomfortable, it can feel wobbly and unsettling. But through eclipse season, we have to remind ourselves that everything taking place is helping us get where we need to be. It is helping us become who we need to become. It's helping us step up into mm, bigger roles. It's not a time about like hiding, it is a time to really step fully into your truth. And if you're not doing that, if you've been hiding, if you've been playing small, kind of like chilling in your comfort zone, girl, the universe is coming for you. Not in a bad way, but buckle up, hold on, get ready because you're going to be propelled into the timeline you need to be in real fast. So it's really exciting, particularly this year, but there's a lot of magic happening. And working with the season of the witch is, it's one of my favorite times of year because it is the time of year where I feel most connected to myself and my power. It is a time where, because the veil is so thin, because we're all much more tuned into our intuition, you might be having prophetic dreams. You might just be having a lot of intuitive hits coming through where all of a sudden you're like, why am I thinking about that? Why is that person popping into my head? Why do I keep hearing about this book or this country? So It's a time of year when you really want to be paying attention to those intuitive nudges. And if something keeps showing up, if there's a pattern that keeps repeating, pay extra attention to those things. If there is a dream you keep having or symbols that you keep seeing, listen to those, pay attention to those. I really like to work with this energy by simply getting up early in the morning and sitting at my altar space. If you don't have an altar and you're intrigued, you're like, "Ooh, what does that mean? What is an altar?" This is the perfect time to create your own personal altar. And an altar can be simple. It doesn't have to be this huge, elaborate, expensive thing. It can literally be a small little corner, maybe in your bedroom or in a room within your home where you have privacy. And it's a place to place it's a place to place objects or anything that reminds you that you are connected to the universe, to spirit. I like to have things at my altar that represent the elements, so earth, air, fire, and water. Anything that connects me to the earth, that honors the earth. If you're working with a specific energy or guide or god, goddess, deity, whatever resonates with you, you can put things at your altar to represent that energy or those beings or to honor them, to give as an offering. So your altar can really be a personal space where you simply sit and you go to connect with yourself and to connect with these higher energies, whatever you resonate with. So, this is the perfect time to not just create your altar, but to simply spend time sitting at your altar in quiet in the early morning hours when maybe it's still a little bit dark out, no one is up yet, the world feels very still. Maybe you have your journal next to you, and to just sit and see what comes through and journal down any ideas, any just little intuitive downloads that are coming up. But this is the perfect time of year to be working very deeply with your intuition and letting that guide you more so than your mind. This is also the time of year where we're deeply guided to dive into shadow work, to dive into spiritual alchemy. The season of the witch very much encompasses life, death, rebirth. And so there's an honoring here of the death cycle that needs to happen. And that's sometimes why this season can feel a little bit uncomfortable for some people. It can feel scary. It can feel uncertain. It can feel difficult to slow down and get quiet because we're afraid of what is going to be shown to us. We're afraid of these intuitive realizations that we might have. Because again, this is about honoring specifically the death cycle and being willing to be honest with ourselves and really sit with what do I need to let die so that I can move forward. That's a that can be a really heavy question to sit with. And we might not always like the answers that follow. But again, especially with the clip season now, if there is something that needs to die, if there is something that needs to be cleared from your life, this is the time that it's going to happen. But it is all for your benefit, even if in the moment it doesn't make any sense. And that's what we have to remember to help us navigate these times of uncertainty. But the archetype of the witch is fully connected to her intuitive intelligence, fully connected to her body wisdom. So when these maybe unexpected changes take place, when it feels like the rug is being pulled from under your feet, when you can tap into this witch archetype, this witch energy, there is a deep inner knowing, there's a deep trust that it is all happening for some reason. And it might not even feel like a good reason, right? In the moment, but there is a reason. And it is bringing you into who you need to be. But that process of growth is often very uncomfortable, and we tend to fight it a lot. It's like I picture our little inner child being like, "No, I don't wanna go. No, you can't make me." And the universe is like, "Bitch, you're coming with me whether you want to or not. Like, let's go, step up." That's very much the energy of eclipse season, and it can also very much be the energy of the witch archetype. She is this incredibly loving, nurturing energy, but there is also this very strong, potent, firm energy to her. When working with the witch archetype, this energy, not just externally, but also tapping into this energy within you, because we all have this energy within each of us. There is very much this push and this call to drop the bullshit. Like, there's no space to lie to yourself, there's no space to make excuses any longer. The witch demands that you are honest, that you are in your truth, that you are speaking your truth, that you are embodying what you are teaching, what you are saying you're going to do, that you're fucking doing it. Not that you are simply showing up on Instagram like, I'm a spiritual person, posting pictures with my crystals, but you're doing the fucking work. And when I say doing the work, that is what I'm talking about when I talk about spiritual alchemy, when I talk about shadow work. And I think there's this misconception that shadow work has to always be really dark and heavy, and that's not always the case. But sometimes it definitely is. But to me, shadow work and personal and spiritual alchemy is about accepting your totality, being willing to look at your darkness as well as your lightness without excluding any part of yourself. And then integrating those parts and then embodying your fullness. So I think sometimes we get stuck because there are aspects of ourselves we don't want to look at. And this season of the witch and tuning into your witch energy is the time to get real with yourself and to ask yourself, what have I been too afraid to look at? What have I not been willing to see within myself? What parts of myself feel too dark and too scary and too ugly and too messy and too whatever the case may be to look at? Now is the time to do that work, and not to look at those parts to feel shameful or to feel bad about yourself, but to bring them back into yourself and say, okay, I see you. You are this part within me. And we all have these parts that we don't like, that we shun, that we want to just get rid of. But guess what? That part's not going anywhere. And the more that you don't acknowledge it, the louder it's going to become, the more it's going to actually run your life. It's when you can acknowledge those parts, accept them, integrate them, and then embody this new energy from that integrated, grounded space, that those parts can take a back seat because you're consciously aware of them. And when you're consciously aware, then you get to choose, what energy am I operating from? What stories and beliefs am I going to allow to create my life? So the season of the witch goes far beyond, you know, even the altars and the pretty witchy decorations and the crystals and the journaling even. Those are all great. And I highly recommend creating an altar and sitting at your altar. But this is also the time of doing that deeper work that we're sometimes too scared to really allow ourselves to dive into, because it can feel like we're not going to come out on the other side. But when you can lean into this witch archetype and this energy within yourself, you can integrate this deep knowing, this deep trust that you're being carried through your process in the exact way that you need to be. And on the other side is going to be a version of you that is more grounded in yourself, is more grounded in your truth, is more confident in the direction that you're moving. So, this is the season to listen to yourself. This is the season to allow your intuitive intelligence to guide you forward. And this is the season and the energy to work with and trust that if you don't know your next step, if it isn't clear, then don't take a next step yet. The season of the witch is very much about taking that sacred pause. The witch is okay with being in the void space. Like, she is chilling in the void. She's like, I don't even need to know what's going to happen next. I just trust. And when I receive the clarity, that is when I'm meant to make my move. If I don't have that clarity, I'm not forcing shit. So again, this witch archetype and this energy is not just something that is out there. It is very much out there. There is a collective witch energy, witch archetype. Like, we all can feel it as we enter into this season, especially. And it doesn't just exist during fall, but that is the time when it's most potent. So yes, it's out there, but it's also within you. This is the part of you that longs to be connected to the earth, that longs to be connected to the moon, to your body, to this ancient wisdom, to these earth-based practices. And so if there's one thing that you do during this season, it is listen to that, honor that part of you. Sit at your altar and think about how you can begin working more closely with the earth, how you can begin honoring the earth. How can you begin showing up for yourself more authentically? Where have you been wearing a mask? And we all do it. We all do it. I still do it. I still catch myself in situations where I'll leave and be like, why did I say that? Like, I don't actually feel that way anymore. So it's becoming aware of these patterns that are no longer true for us and doing the work to clear them and let them go and create space for the new to emerge, for the new to be welcomed in. It really is a time of being in space. Space is dark, space is quiet. It is that primordial cosmic womb space where life is being created. So, this next chapter of your life, this next version of you, is being molded behind the scenes, underneath the surface. I think the season of the witch is this beautiful time where, from the outside looking in, it doesn't look like much is happening. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. But behind the scenes, there's so much magic being woven. Your next chapter is being written. This new version of you is coming into form. And it's when you can give yourself the space to just be and to honor yourself and be willing to look at every aspect of yourself, that you can create the space for this next chapter to enter your life. And you can release what needs to go, and then sit back and call in what needs to come in. And trust that what is showing up is the next breadcrumb that you need to follow to take you more fully onto your path. So work with this energy, work with the witch archetype, work with this season. Spend time getting quiet, create more space for yourself, create rituals and magical practices that are going to help you get in touch with yourself, with the earth, with your intuition, with your guides or whoever you work with, whatever energies you work with and resonate with. This is the time to really hone and refine those practices and those rituals. This is the time to deepen your studies, your spiritual studies, your whatever. If there's something you've been wanting to learn about and dive into, if there's some new skill set that you want to really hone, This is the time to focus on those things. This is the time to hone and cultivate your unique magic, your unique creative expression, your voice, your truth, your message. What is it that you came here to do? What is it that you want to share next? What is this next embodiment of you that you want to express to the world? And those answers are within you. It's just that sometimes there's so much external noise, and it isn't until we slow down and create the space that those answers can come through. But again, because the season of the witch is when this veil is so thin, this is the best time to be creating this space in your life to hear these messages, to really get in touch with your intuitive intelligence, because it's like right here hanging above your head, waiting to drop in. You just have to get quiet and give yourself the space. So get up before the rest of the world, light a candle, sit at your altar, journal. Just get quiet. Give yourself permission to slow down, to do less. And have fun with it. Like, this is a beautiful, witchy, magical time. And yes, it's a time of deep reflection and introspection and shadow work and alchemy, and all of that can take a lot out of us. So it is important to prioritize deep rest and healing and taking care of yourself, nourishing yourself. But don't forget to have fun. Don't forget to stay curious. Don't forget to observe your process as the witness at times and not be so stuck in it, but to zoom out and see the bigger picture, see the patterns and the themes, and understand that this is taking you into a new world that is going to resonate more deeply with who you're becoming. So many of us, when we're in this season of the witch, it's almost like we have one foot in one world and one foot in another world. And it's this crossroads almost between our old life, our old way of being, and this new life and this new person we're becoming. And we're in the in between. We haven't fully crossed over into the new, and we haven't fully cleared all of the old yet. So it is this unfolding of closing the old chapter, starting to write the new one, but we're in the in between. That is the void. That is the space of death and birth. And the more that we can honor that space and sink into it, lean into it rather than resist it, the more magical this time will become for you. The more empowered you're going to feel in the uncertainty, instead of being like, "Oh my God, what is happening? I don't know. I've lost all control. Like, I don't know where my life is taking me anymore. I don't know who I am." And if that's happening, that's okay. That's where you're at, like we don't need to deny the reality of our experience. But there are these deeper energies to tap into, to work with, to use as guidance during this time when things are uncertain, when we're not meant to know what's next for us. And as I mentioned too, the season of the witch is the time to reconnect with our physical bodies, to reconnect with the earth. So it is a time to tune more fully into maybe your movement practice, maybe your meditation practice, maybe the food that you're eating, and really paying attention to cooking yourself nourishing meals. And maybe you feel drawn to learning more about different herbs and how you can incorporate those into self-care practices or into your cooking. Or maybe you feel more drawn to spend more time alone in nature. Whatever is coming up around these themes, honor that. This is the season that is asking us to honor ourselves, to stop abandoning ourselves and our intuitive intelligence and what we're being guided to do, and to start listening and listening deeply and being willing to go a layer deeper. And instead of just saying, okay, like my friends want me to go do this thing, so I'll just go, I guess, whatever. It sounds like it's kind of fun. Instead, pausing and saying, but what do I actually desire? What do I deeply want in this moment? And moving from that space. That is the energy that the witch operates from. That is the season that we're in. That is the energy we're being asked to integrate and embody. All right. I could talk about the witch, season of the witch, this archetype, the energy forever. This is my favorite time of year. And, what can I say? I'm a witchy woman. Always have been, always will be. So if you have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast, I will have the links to connect with me in the show notes. Everything will be easily accessible. Again, my platform is House of Poetica. My name is Montoya Miller. If you're wanting to work with me one-on-one, I'll have that link available as well. But that is it. Go forth and be in your witchy energy, be in your witchy magic. Just own that shit. Like, be like, hell yeah, I'm a witch. Like, what about it? What are you gonna do about it? Um, we live in this time where we are reclaiming this energy within us. We are reclaiming the witch archetype. That's pretty fucking powerful considering we used to be burnt at the stake for this shit. And now I'm making a video about it, just being like, hey, I'm a fucking witch, like deal with it, That's pretty cool. So step into your power this season. Use this energy to further you on your path and to become the person that you truly are, to shed those layers of anything that is false and to step truly into who you are. That is what this season is about ultimately. And I wish you the best. I hope you have an amazing season of the witch. I hope that this time sparks a lot of inspiration and magic within you. And I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.